I remember the director the teacher that I had at the Playhouse, who's now departed. All the other teachers hated him, and it was 1956 because he brought in Stanislavski, and all those other teachers thought the Method was a bunch of crap, and they were teaching a much more traditional form of acting, and he was the only one championing Stanislavski's books, Barney. And I remember he sat me, and by the way, I did this in that class because as I said, I didn't become an actor because I thought I was any good. I didn't want to join the service. It was like my brother says, whatever you do, don't join the service, because he had joined the Navy. And I didn't want to, you know, whatever, it wasn't McDonald's, but whatever it was, Orange Julius or whatever, I didn't want to work behind the counter. So what, you know, and I didn't have grades to go to be in college, and I didn't want to do the first year of junior college over. Hey, Pasadena Playhouse, nobody flunks you if it's acting. It's an acting school. I can't go wrong. And so I go there, and as I said, I meet Gene Hackman, and he's kicked out for not having any talent after 3 months. And I get this Barney Brown, this teacher, and I remember he sits me down. But first there's like 12 kids in the class or whatever, 14 kids. And I say to myself, and I remember specifically, because we're reading from a play, an Arthur Miller play, and we're each passing it along. And after we've passed it along, this is the first time, and I say to myself, I think I'm the best actor in this class. I think I'm better than anybody else here. And I really thought I was making an objective opinion. They were that bad, you know? And so it wasn't hard. But that was the beginning. I had no illusions beyond that. And then he sat me down, and at the end of the thing, and he says, he sat everybody down, and he said, here's what I think about you. Go to New York, study. He says, it's gonna take you 10 years. You're gonna wind up doing everything. You'll stage manage, which I did. You'll be an assistant director. Maybe you'll direct, you'll write, you'll act. I don't know what you're gonna wind up doing, but just, you know, know that it's gonna take a, and it did. Because of Bob Duvall, there was a casting agent who really loved him, and I had come in for another audition that I wasn't going to be able to get a call back on. And on the way out, I didn't know it, but my roommate Bob Duvall was coming in to visit the casting director. And he looked at the casting director and pointed to me and said, you should hire him. He's a great actor. And without telling her that I was his roommate. And that's how I got my first part. And many times that's how it happens, is by hook or crook. So here I am getting my first part, and it's on a TV series. It takes place in New York, and it's a courtroom thing. And I am sitting on the witness stand. I have one scene with the lead of the TV series, who is the prosecutor. And I don't want to say his name because I found out when I got there that he was an alcoholic. And it was 8 in the morning, and he used to go to the water fountain, quote unquote, with a little paper cup and get water. But when somehow he made a little change, and he was always sipping whatever he was sipping, straight, you know, scotch or alcohol. So here I am getting there at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and they finally get around to me 3 hours later, and he's pretty much in the sauce. So we go to do the take, and they put the camera over his shoulder or whatever it is, or a single onto me, and he's holding the pages of the scene, and he's reading it, because if it's over, he could still have the thing here, and they won't see it because the camera's on me, or if it's off of him, trying to remember, he's still looking at it, and I've got mine memorized, and I do it. And I'm so excited still to get to work with this great actor. Now they turn the camera around, and they put it over my shoulder onto him. And just before they start, and this is my first job now after studying for about 4 or 5 years and waiting tables to make a living, he takes the sheet of paper, and it has Scotch tape at the top of it, and he says, I hope you don't mind, and he tapes it on my forehead so that the page comes like this over my face. Here I am working with this great actor, and the camera's over my shoulder onto him, and he's interrogating me or doing whatever he is, and he's just reading the lines. And I can't see him because I just have the page in front of my face. And that was my first experience. And you're going to suffer the same injustices probably over and over and over again, because that's the way it goes. One of the things we tried to show in Tootsie is that, you know, you'll take anything. You'll play a tomato, you'll take any job at all. You want me to be you just want work. And when you get that job, you have to do what the director says. And you're on a different level, most of the people that are watching this, than I'm on. However, the food chain is not exactly what you think it is, because even though I'm a star, I'm working with star directors. I'm working with star writers. I'm working with other stars. I'm working with the star or you know, class A, whatever you want to call them, producers. Everybody's ego is the same. It's still the same battle. It's an even playing field in a sense, you know, so that to get it my way, or to try to do what I want, I have the same, you know, kind of obstruction that I've always had. It's different because I won't get fired, as many of the actors, you know. However, I did say to an actor one time when I was working with him, he says, the director wants me to do it this way, and I don't think it's. I said, I know. I heard what he said. He wants you to push. That's what we call, you know, he wants you to push and make it bigger than. I agree with you. I said, so don't do it. He says, oh, that's easy for you to say. If I don't do it, I'll get fired. I said, well, I've always been this way, and I got fired a lot, you know, before, you know, I had my freak accident called The Graduate. And you have to determine yourself, and this is a toughie. Would you rather be on screen doing bad work or not be on the screen at all? And that's an individual decision. I directed community theater when I was in my 20s. I would go up to the Equity Bulletin Board. Oh, they need a community theater director in Verona, New Jersey. And I'd get on the bus at Port Authority, and I'd go out. These people were people just making a living, belonging to a community theater, and I would direct them. And it would cost me $15 to get there, and it cost me more money than they were paying me, you know, $20, $30 to do it. And I heard about another community theater thing in Fargo, North Dakota. And I lied about my age and talked to a deep voice so I could fly out there and take over directing 2 plays. And I directed that community theater for months and months and lived at the Hotel Fargo. And I did anything I could to just be in it. And when I look back, and I tell you the truth, and it is a constant, there are no 2 experiences I've ever had that are better than those 2. And I might say parenthetically, take anything you can get. If you're sharpening pencils, if you can be in a room with actors rehearsing, whatever it is, emptying wastebaskets, be in it in some way, be around it. There's a film I did called Ishtar. I think finally I'm talking to a generation that never heard of it. Thank God. It has its flaws, it has its mistakes. The first 40 minutes in it, I think, have some wonderful comedy. They are musicians and songwriters wanting to be like Simon and Garfunkel, but they're middle-aged. One of the interesting things about it's not only the biggest flop I ever made, but it's the biggest flop maybe that has ever been made. And it got undeserved criticism. Siskel and Ebert, who were just coming up as the first, I think, TV critics to become world famous, like celebrities, with their thumbs up and thumbs down, God rest their souls. I think they were coming out of Chicago. And just as that film was coming out, they gave a review which went on a loop, I think 24 hours CNN or something, whatever it was, over and over and over and over again, saying this is the worst movie ever created. Here's what that movie's about. It's whatever failure, and this is the reason I did it. This movie puts forth the argument, and that's why I brought it up in the first place. Isn't it better to spend a lifetime, your own lifetime, doing what you're most passionate about and that you have, that's where your passion goes, even if you're second rate or unsuccessful, then being first rate and successful doing something in which you have no passion at all. And the bottom line maybe is just making money. This movie ends with two guys in Morocco who started out still thinking they could be the next Simon and Garfunkel in New York. And it ends with them in Morocco singing That's Amore and at the Holiday Inn or something. And I support that theme of that movie. And I am suggesting to you, and I guess I said it to some of the people I was working with as actors, if you're going into this, or if you're in this to be rich and famous, better you show your ass and have pornographic sex, because what used to end careers seems to make them these days, than try to become an actor, if that's the reason. If you're an actor or a writer or a screenwriter or cameraman or whatever, if you're doing this thing because it is where your passion is, and what I'm suggesting to you is it's not a job. To me, by definition, a job is something where you can't wait until you can get to the bar. If that means you gotta wait tables, or you gotta, can't give up your day job, then so be it. But if that's why you're doing it, then that's the reason you're doing it. It's never changed. I started studying in 1956, 57. And as far as I know, 10% have gotten work. That's all, or make a living out of it. You don't make a living being an actor. And those numbers have not changed. And the ones who get the work many times are not the most talented people. They're the ones who give the predictable performances. That's why it's kind of rare that you see great work. Most of the things I've done, I think, are failures. But it is true. I've done close to 50 movies, and my defense is, well, look at baseball. If you're hitting 1 out of 5, that ain't bad, or 2 out of 5 is great. If you're one of the great passing quarterbacks and you got 62%, that's not bad, and yet that's, we don't even equal that. I know studios are the same. At least it used to be. They'd put out 22, 24 movies a year, and they'd hope for 3 hits to carry them through the 21 that didn't make their money back. But, it's hard. I think I've made a half a dozen movies, which I think are, I've had the benefit of being with good directors, wonderful directors, and wonderful cast, good scripts, et cetera, editing, photography, whatever, that have turned out to make it. But most of the stuff I've done, I don't like to mention the ones that are stinkeroos because I'm hurting the people who are responsible for them, but we all know which ones they are. If you're aspiring actors, you may not wind up being an actor. As I said, Fellini was and is one of my great heroes as a writer-director in film, in the film that he's done. And, he started out as a cartoonist. Godard started out as a film critic. Nothing is permanent, as they say, except death and taxes. I worked with Judi Dench, and she started out wanting to be a designer. One thing will take you to another, and let that happen. But whatever it is that you're into at the moment, follow your gut, and don't analyze it. That's the worst thing you can do. Well, why do I feel? No, it's there. There's something that in you that, for whatever mysterious reasons, you can do in a way that no one else can. And if you're lucky, you find that and you merge that at a certain point and you say, there I am.